the eclipse is today or something, right? It doesn't happen in America. I don't know if it's passed yet. It may have passed already. But the new moon, effectively, the new moon is today. But it is the eclipse for quite a few places. I can't remember where totality is supposed to be. The coolest eclipse someone ever showed me was Ozzy playing Bark at the Moon in, what was it? It might have been was it the 2017 eclipse? Ozzy, like, they queued up Bark at the Moon so that way that fucking, the crescendo that goes into the solo of the fucking song is just wailing at totality. Woo! No. Ozzy had a little bit of magic. I believe that Ozzy may have rationalized that Jesus was actually a wizard, which is a hell of a lot of fucking people in various underground studies talk about that all the effing time, right? Only people that cannot embrace the esoteric and live in the exoteric don't understand that that a prophet in the Bible is either a hero or a wizard of some sort. And that's why they are what they are doing what they're doing, right? And there's often a great deal of astrotheology going on, in part, depending on whether that particular scripture is more history or more mythology. Because all of it would seem that every single narrative story of the Bible that we know, the ones that are just ingratiated with God's wisdom specifically, instead of just being genealogical documents and palace intrigues of no large consequence to you personally, something that's just like sitting there deep down in one of the later Old Testaments, or something like, not too many people quote the Book of Esther, right? Like, the Book of Esther only has so many moments of God's wisdom in it, allegedly, right? So anyway, my point is, Jesus the Wizard, which, then you got Black Sabbath the Wizard, which which was an allegory for a drug dealer, okay? It was about a guy who was selling you hallucinogens in particular. But also there is the merit of the healing-like quality of the wizard's works, because they have the wisdom to know what to do for you. Sometimes a wizard can exploit their talents through exotericizing the mystery they learned it from. Now, what does this got to all do with fucking Ozzy? Because that's what Ozzy was fucking doing, I believe. You look at a song like Aleister Crowley. It is a song about curiosity. It is a song about curiosity. And so, the only people in the universe that fucking care, whether Ozzy's a Satanist or not, are people that don't have a curiosity about the dark side of man. The 1980s was this period of time that was horrified by the 1970s and worked very hard to suppress that, because you had very, very weak conservatives in charge, thinking they were doing a whole hell of a world of good. uh, but they were not. You know, I gave not just a closer listen to a few of Ozzy's lyrics. Not like I hadn't closely listened to them fucking before. At least amongst the songs I was always listening to. Like I said, he's a fucking hippie, man. He's a hippie on the dark side, is all. Same thing with fucking, like, you know, Jim Morrison. Right? They're Christians who are embracing their Dionysian side instead of living like hypocrites. That's the liberation. It's their liberation to, you know, it's not just let me save you from your sins. Let me release you from the prison of your fucking, of your, I don't want to say purity, because you wouldn't quite pitch it that way. You would have a more appropriate word, because your purity is not, you know, taking away your purity I don't quite see as, you know, the Dionysian primary goal. It's more of the byproduct thereof, right? But you're living in the shell of restrictions, and you see other people doing things that seem to be having a pretty desirable life that doesn't look wrong to you in the eyes of your God, other than this one peculiarity that people keep telling you God would not like you to do, which would make you a part of their world, right? To do what the cult does is to make it your cult, and thus your culture. I'm sure that makes good sense, right? When you can get the rationale to circle in on itself by saying your cult culture in a cohesive sentence, that's where you found the cognitive loop that you were trying to identify and have conscious control over in your life. Oh, here's a loop I am in. What do I want to do with this loop? I have loops that I'm in complete control of. I wake up, I have a particular practice, which is just like an in my nervous system. It's just like, you know, get up, evacuate, clean your mouth, you know, brush your teeth effectively, right? Sit down, chronically breathe for a minute. Start untensing and stretching the neck and shoulders and the hips, lower back. Now get up, run through your yoga, do your yoga routine. Qigong, meditation, attestations, blow the sacred horn. People have seen my bullhorn a few times. I usually don't show it on camera because it's this huge thing, and I don't know. I always forget. I usually don't have a real content-worthy place for it. Or I do, but I'm just really like, it's this thing. I have to run upstairs and I have to think for a second, and it's just like I want to not just use it like a jackass. I want to like fucking like think, okay, do I want to make a ceremonial proclamation blowing this? Am I just blowing this thing to say, oh yeah, we're getting started, let's blow this thing? Like, I run through all this crap in my mind, right? Mostly because I'm just like, am I using this tool properly? I mean, I am blowing the horn at the end of ritual for that. That's the only thing I'm really using it for. So it's just a question of, is there any other appropriate times, right? Because I've definitely watched many ceremonies where I see it play out and make sense, where, okay, here's a theme. Oh, you blow a horn at this point, then there's another theme, and you blow a horn at this point, and there's symbolism throughout all of that. So what's my point? Ozzy's a performance artist. He's a performance artist. He's a singer-songwriter, performance artist. All right? A performance artist has a right to assume a theatrical character on stage. Alice Cooper was one of the shock rockers of the 70s and 80s that helped pave the way with his arguments, because Alice Cooper I forget the singer of Alice Cooper's name, because Alice Cooper's not his name, but now he's just is Alice Cooper. Right? It's hysterical that way. Because I forget why the band was called Alice Cooper. He talks about it. It's funny. I've never met Alice Cooper, but I'm told that he lives in Darien, Connecticut. And I think I would have recognized even Alice Cooper at this age, because he still has the long black hair. I probably have to hang out at the golf course more often. I know he fucking golfs, but I don't want to golf at all. I've heard maybe in my Odinic years I will all of a sudden find myself a liar at this moment, but I don't want to play golf. Something just about it. I don't know. And I may have Scottish blood in me because of my Norman side. I might look at it and say, ooh, I am so Scottish now, I want to do this. Because I'm a slave to my race, obviously, because I'm racist, you see. I don't know how fucking people that call people racists really think a racist's mind is working. Sometimes, right? It's just really something they yell in politics until you come out and say, yes, I'll play the racist for you to defend my other beliefs that are not racist at all, that you are accusing of racism. I will have to assume that's what we've been doing. You know what? We've been doing this for so long, we don't realize that you cannot blame even this president for putting on the persona that his enemy asks for. Right? It's just like, oh, you want to free the people? Well, you're going to have to wear this face the rest of your fucking life. Right? And then that becomes all the names they'll have to call you for all eternity for playing the game, even if you beat them at the game, because you're just beating your opponent. You're not beating the ref, and you're not beating the league. You're just beating your opponent in the competition that the ref and the league are allowing you to play. That's how it works. That's why Linda McMahon is in the White House. That is why Donald Trump was given this this win at in the WWE. Standing next to anti-hero Stone Cold Steve Austin, right? So people asking these questions of is Ozzy a Christian is, I think it's largely a sign of reminding you, how different all these goddamn churches are to each other and not very helpful, right? If you're sitting in this public debate about whether the guy that put Santa on a cross for his Christmas show and had horror film maker Rob Zombie at the Christmas show, it's just like with his full fucking aesthetics as well, right? And it's to ask, is Ozzy a Christian, is to ask, can horror movies be Christian? The Catholic Church was deeply invested in films like The Exorcist, like The Omen. Right? If you look into the background of the writers, the directors, and the producers for those 1970s era church institution films that, made all these priests out to be these awesome, white wizards, right? These are, that's what's kind of that's what's appealing to the occultist about Catholicism and what Catholics do, and knowing that there is some truth in the system. But a lot of the mythos needs to be straightened out. A great deal of the mythos has to be straightened out. It can be adequate, and some people are not hungry for another level or another level, which is fair, because you watch how conspiracy people get ungrounded, right? And we ask, is Ozzy a Christian? It's the same question we ask, is Donald Trump a Christian, right? So the church, let's put the church to the judgment card, right? Let's have all these churches sit there and say, how do you rationalize the Christianity of Donald Trump? How do you rationalize the Christianity of Ozzy? Because they don't rationalize. They spent time trying to rationalize his Satanism, and I listened to the interviews, and in all of his interviews, he never says, no, I'm a Christian. He just says, no, I'm not a Satanist. I think he would avert calling himself a Christian for some very obvious reasons. Because he's probably learning a lot about there being different kinds of Christians, different people see Christianity, and for a certain degree of Christian type peoples, or perhaps Jewish or perhaps Muslim type of peoples, to point at him and say the shaitan, and they are being the Satan by accusing him, which is the funny double entendre of the language. But he is just living he's really just living in the world. This is why he succeeded in the world. He's just living in the world. he wasn't, you know, like he would have lived his life. He may have been strongly in the fool card most of the time, like fool reversed. You look at Ozzy's life; he was the fool reversed a lot, right? But he definitely went through things like rehab, which would have been, you know, forced hermit time that he grew from, because, you know, he found himself in a manner of soberism, right? Like, I love to smoke my weed, and I can have a drink once in a while. None of those things are my personality. I can go cold turkey and not lose my fucking self. I just may not like the feelings that I'm in standing at present, or just prefer the feelings of being on. But that's not even close to addiction or fucking Matika, right? People do certain drugs together, they get on the same frequency, right? And if there's a mental illness on in finds that are hanging out in the same frequency on those drugs, the Wetiko virus can take over. So if everybody's on certain pills, it's affecting them as such, right? Commenting on the world he's a bard. He's channeling the collective unconscious for you, right? That's all he's doing. Aleister Crowley is a curiosity song. I want to know what he said. What the hell he's talking like? That the song was built under the context of everybody's talking about Crowley, and he doesn't know nothing about it yet. He's writing a song about people who were fascinated with Aleister Crowley, because he was fascinated with Aleister Crowley. Like, okay, everybody keeps saying he's the most evil man in the world. What did he do? Oh, he was an occultist, da-da-da-da-da. He practiced black magic. He may have killed a guy. Oh, really? Tell me, they caught him? Did they catch him? Did he serve a life sentence? It's like, no, he just died an old man strung out from heroin. Oh. This is like, okay, right? And so you're living in the world. So it's like, they didn't catch him. I bet he didn't kill anybody. I bet he didn't get anybody killed, right? You know, but then you start taking a closer look and realize some people died associated with his rituals, or his exercises, right? So you can easily take any look. I think it's easy for people, man. If you just watch a handful of any of the conversations where Ozzy's asked if he's a Satanist or what's his faith or whatever, you'll start to get a sense of it. And I had the privilege, because I took that initiative in my cringy teenage years, to call K-Rock in the 90s when Black Sabbath was having their freaking first Ozzy-based reunion. I was like, holy shit. But I only really knew K-Rock, Ozzy, K-Rock, Sabbath, so I was a little cringy about it. But I did ask him about God, because I was a born-again Christian in a Catholic family, because I had converted to get away from all the things I didn't like about the faith over there. So anyway, and he said it was something he didn't like to talk about, you know, and it stopped me in my tracks, because it couldn't have opened up any small talk, right? But he kept it close to the chest, because he knew, right? And, you know, I look back now, it's just like, you know, I might have had that kind of, you know, I might have had a little bit of that Christian radical, you know, because my exit option to Catholicism was an Assembly of God fucking church. So, you know, at that time, I was very, very passionate like that. Like, very interested in getting everybody to fucking be saved, which eventually evolved into the passion of what I do on this channel. I mean, calling it what you will. So I think I think Jesus kept Ozzy in his. Jesus kept Ozzy in his heart. Ozzy kept Jesus in his heart, and became unaffiliated with the religion, and took the freedom to explore his purpose and live it, and take the licks of sin that come with the game. Right? Don't be so held back. Right? And don't be so scared of death. Right? I mean, it's kind of stupid to say I'm not scared of death and then overdose on something, but you get my point. So hopefully I can have a thoughtful, awesome conversation with Joe. We'll talk. Find out when, because he couldn't. We have to reschedule, and I don't know when he wants to reschedule. I'll catch you guys later. I have to catch my exit. Peace.